Hey everyone, this is Seth from the Horror Syndicate. This is another episode of BrundleFly's Rankings and Reviews, and today I'm going to be tackling the Supernatural TV series. What I'm going to be doing is at least once a week putting out a video, going through every episode of Supernatural in chronological order. Um, However, knowing myself, usually when I say I'm just gonna watch an episode of Supernatural, I tend to get obsessed again, and I watch multiple episodes. So there's a chance that maybe I could put out a couple of videos per week, but who knows? The goal right now is just to do one episode per week, going through every episode of the show. Um, I have seen every single episode, all 327 episodes from all 15 seasons. Um, uh, I especially gravitate towards seasons 1 through 5 a lot. So I've seen a lot of those episodes multiple times. But I do want to kind of go through and just kind of and watch them all again in order, because what I've been doing is usually if I'm in the mood for Supernatural, I kind of jump around now. Since I'm all caught up and it's not new to me, I'll go to, I'll pull out my season 2 Blu-ray and, watch all of that, or season 4, season 5, season 1, whatever I'm in the mood for. But what I want to do is I want to go through all of them again in the order, and also it would help me to kind of revisit the later seasons, which I still like. I was definitely an avid fan to the end, and I'm uh, sad that the show ended, believe it or not. The show has kind of grown to become my favorite TV series of all time, and I kind of kicked myself in the ass for being sort of for pushing it off for so long. I had some assumptions about it. Back when it first came out, based on the network that it was on. I liked some stuff that was on the network, uh, formerly known as the WB, now the CW. But they sort of had a type, and Supernatural does not fit that mold at all. So if you're someone out there who has not seen it, or if you've been off put by it because of it being a show on that particular network, I would say don't, because the Supernatural really goes above and beyond anything that the WB/the CW has ever put out, and it's really a fantastic show with fantastic characters. So, with that being said, let's go into Supernatural Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot episode, also known as the Woman in White episode. So, the show begins in Lawrence, Kansas in 1983. The Winchester family is getting all settled in for the night. The father, John, played by Jeffrey D. Morgan, and the mother, Mary, played by Samantha Smith. They have two children, Dean, who's 4, and Sam, who's 6 months. Um, they put them to bed. However, in the middle of the night, Mary is awoken to Sam crying through the baby monitor. She notices that John is not in bed with her. She gets up, she goes to Sam's room, and she sees a figure there standing next to Sam's crib, who she believes to be her husband. She believes it's John. However, when she goes downstairs, she discovers that John is asleep in his recliner, and so she rushes back up to Sam's room. Uh, John is woken to Mary's screams. He then rushes upstairs. He goes, and there's no one in Sam's room, just Sam in his crib. However, as he gets closer to the crib, blood drips onto his hand, and as he looks up, he is mortified to see that Mary is pinned to the ceiling, and she becomes a gulf of flame. John manages to get Sam and Dean out of the house as the fire really erupts. And then we get a really kind of determined look on John's face. And then we cut to 22 years later. We cut to 2005. Sam, obviously 22 now, He is at Stanford University. He's out with his girlfriend. It's Halloween. He kind of makes it clear he's not really a big fan of the holiday. It also makes it clear in the scene that he has a rocky relationship with his family, and he's got bigger fish to fry. He's concerned. Well, maybe not so concerned, just more or less nervous. He has a interview with a law school, which apparently would come with a full ride for him. So it's a very big deal for him. However, in the middle of the night, he hears a noise in his apartment. He wakes up. He then goes to investigate, and he finds that someone's kind of wandering around his apartment. And he confronts this person. They get into a little fight, and it turns out to be Dean. Dean has shown up because their father, John, he has not been home in a few days, and Sam kind of brushes this off at first. He's really not concerned. He just kind of believes his father's probably out getting hammered somewhere and that he'll stumble home again soon. But then Dean specifies that he went on a hunting trip and he hasn't been home in a few days. So this then catches Sam's attention. Sam, it is established here through some of the dialogue that Sam and his father didn't always see eye to eye. In fact, that when Sam went to college, he was kind of told, if you go, don't come back. So there's a little bit of tension in the family unit here. However, when Dean plays a voicemail recording from John, it picks up a EMF, and they decide to head out together under the promise that Dean would bring Sam back by Monday so he can attend his interview. So the two brothers, they hit the road, head into Jericho, California, which is the last known location that John was heading to solve a case. So they get to Jericho, and there is a happening going on where many men have disappeared on a highway, and they discover throughout the episode that their father was investigating this particular case, and he actually figured it out. John figured out what it was. He figured out that it was a woman in white, and he figured out who it was, this Constance Welch lady who drowned her kids and then committed suicide. And this raises a big mystery for them, why their father abandoned this particular hunt, why he didn't finish the job. It's kind of very unlike him. So they have these new questions kind of lingering around while they also happen to solve the case themselves. But throughout the episode, they get these little clues, including after the time that Dean is busted by the local authorities, who kind of caught on to the credit card theft and the impersonating of federal marshals. And they have in their possession John's journal, and in John's journal there's specific coordinates for Dean. They figure towards the end of the episode that the coordinates are in Black Ridge, Colorado. Dean wants to head there. He's got a lot of questions. He wants to know where his father is and why he abandoned his mission. And although Sam is also intrigued, he also wants to be home so he can go to his interview. So Dean is a little reluctant, but because he wants his brother at his side, but he does bring Sam back home. Sam arrives back at his apartment. The light is on in the bathroom. The shower's running. Jess made some cookies for him. He eats a cookie. He lays down. Blood drips on him. He looks up and sees Jess is pinned to the ceiling, and then becomes a Gulf of Flame. Basically, the episode has bookends with what happened to Mary Winchester, and in a parallel with what's happening to Jess. Because of this, Sam decides, fuck law school. We have some work to do, and so he goes with his brother on the road, and that's where the episode ends. Honestly, I think this is a great episode. It's a great pilot episode. I think one of the things that Supernatural does really well is that they have a really good balance between the horror aspect of the show and the humor aspect of the show. And the humor is not over the top. It's not like over the top comedy. What makes it comedic is the interactions and the personalities. Sam and Dean are so different in their personalities, and the way they interact with each other is just like brothers. It's just like brothers. I mean, Sam and Dean, in a small way, kind of reminds me of my interaction with one of my brothers. Um, and yeah, Supernatural is it's a good show on the horror front. It's a good show just in general because it has likable characters. I think Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki, they actually do really well as Sam and Dean Winchester. The pilot episode works because they really set up the main overall story arc of the season, while also kind of they keep adding the mystery that kind of like hooks you in because nothing is solved right away in terms of the bigger arc of what's up with John Winchester and what happened to Mary back in '83, what happened to Jess and all that. Um, yeah, and then the woman in white aspect of it, I think it really helps to kind of it really helped kind of showcase just the type of show that it was going to be and how horror centric it can be. There's a lot of people involved with this show early on that were also involved with the X-Files, and that kind of shows, and that's not a bad thing at all. X-Files is fantastic as well. And yeah, I love this episode. I love this show. The pilot episode, I've seen it many, many times, and it's easy. Like when I watch it, it's so easy to see why this show has lasted as long as it has. It's so easy to see why there's such a big following for this show, because it really comes down to the characters. The characters are so likable. They're so, in my opinion, they're so well portrayed. I think the actors do a really great job capturing that sibling vibe, and the writers, especially Eric Kripke, who was the mastermind of the show for seasons 1 through 5. He just was fantastic at kind of plotting these big overall storylines and just kind of really setting up the world. A lot of what we learn in the first episode is done through exposition, particularly when Sam and Dean kind of first meet before they head out onto the road. We get a lot of exposition about their lives growing up, about how the way their dad raised them, the stuff they've experienced, and their knowledge of how scary the world really is and the things that are really out there. But the way they do it, I think, kind of feels natural in a way, as far as how the conversations go. There's a lot that they put out there in these conversations, but I don't think it really hurts the episode at all. In fact, it just made me even more intrigued to keep watching the show. So I would say overall, the pilot episode, The Woman in White, is a really fantastic episode. It's a really great piece of television, and it really, really sets up the series pretty damn well. So I highly recommend it. If you're someone out there who has not seen Supernatural, if you're hesitant on it, or if you you're just kind of off put by it based on the network that it's on, because I know that it was on the formerly known as the WB, now known as the CW. It's really a show that really stands apart from the rest of what they put out, and they do really well on the horror aspect of it, and they also really fulfill the character aspect of it. This isn't angsty teens. These are a couple of people in their 20s, Sam being 22, Dean being 26. At the start of this, there's sort of some real feeling drama. It's not about love stories and shit like that. It's about genuine concern for family. It's about what these characters do. And yeah, the pilot episode is fantastic. Check it out if you haven't checked it out. And if you have checked it out, what do you think of it? Do you like the episode? Does it stand as one of the best of the series? Have you watched the episode and couldn't get into it? Have you was maybe a later episode in the season really the hooking point for you? Let us know in the comments below. If you can, do a thumbs up. If you like this video. I know I kind of ramble and I say a lot. I'm sorry about that. I'm working on it. But anyway, yeah, so, do the thumbs up, subscribe, if you like what we're doing, if you like this particular review, and if you want more Supernatural content, definitely let us know, because I'd be more than happy to keep doing as much Supernatural related stuff as possible. I'm a huge fan of the show. I cannot say that enough. Yeah, I would love to keep going. My plan is to continue, so I'm going to keep going on. But if if you want more stuff, that'd be very encouraging. Even for me to put out maybe more. So anyway, I'm Seth. This has been BrundleFly's Rankings and Reviews. And yeah, remember, the rules are: driver picks the music and shotgun shuts his cackle. All right. Good night, guys.